Okay, guys, Adam Trigger here, ready for Friday's edition of On the Clock. No show yesterday as I was traveling. As always, when I'm traveling, it means I'm going to a game, and we do a free pick video. And for the first time in, I think, since the middle of December, we took a loss on one of those. I had hit five in-person client best bets in a row. My streak was snapped last night on Sacramento State on a game that I locked in at 9.5. Went off 7.5, 2 points of CLV, absolutely no chance. It's just kind of how it's gone on some of those so far this year. Pacific plus 20 ends up being a push for my 4% play. So we need to get it going in the right direction. We need to end the work week with a good show. This will be the last episode of On the Clock until Monday, but we'll have a bunch of stuff for you this weekend as well. So stay tuned. Also, to get all the plays this weekend, just take advantage of the 3-day all access special that we have at WagerTalk right now. 3-day all access is at its normal discounted rate, but we're throwing in a free day. So you get 4 days for the price of 3. And that is currently going on at WagerTalk. Please like and subscribe to the WagerTalk YouTube channel so we can continue to bring you this show. And let's get right into it. Marquee matchup. We're going to end up hitting, you guys voted for the Indiana game, which I realized is probably one of the marquee matchups. So the other marquee matchup is going to be Iowa, UCLA. And my first thought when I see this number is why in the world would anyone lay 7 with UCLA right now? And yes, I get it. Like, they could show up. They could blow Iowa out. They could start scoring. We know Iowa has struggled, struggles on the defensive end. But the argument I have for the Iowa side having a ton of value is UCLA's issues, their biggest ones, are tough to quantify in the number. It's really difficult to quantify the internal stuff going on there in the number. Mick Cronin calls his entire staff out, his team, his coaches, after the Michigan game. He's like one of the few guys that's probably well-respected enough to do something like that. But I don't think they really responded because the effort against Maryland was awful. And then it was an equally poor effort against Rutgers. And you could say, oh, well, they were on the road. Listen, like, those are not teams. Maryland and Rutgers are not elite basketball teams this year. And the fact that UCLA couldn't get up to beat either of those teams is very concerning. The other thing that concerns me with UCLA, the offense is totally stagnant. They don't run any offense. It's just bad. And how are you going to take advantage of Iowa's main weakness, which is their defense, if you can't run any offense? Iowa's a top 10 offense. You say what you want about Iowa. This team still rates out in like the top 20 nationally in many offensive metrics, a lot of the analytics metrics. So they can still put the ball in the hoop. Iowa plus 7 makes a lot of sense here. I don't want to step in front of I don't want to go against UCLA when they finally figure it out. But Iowa plus 7, from a value standpoint, that's a no-brainer. That is a number. I've got that 4.5. So some serious line value there at 7. Okay. Total of the day, we're going to head over to the Mountain West. One of the plays I did cash, one of my top rated earlier this week with Air Force. And I bring that up, not to just remind you that, I am capable of winning bets. But because that performance, I think, was a little bit of an outlier for the Air Force Falcons. They hit shots at a rate that they typically don't. They were hitting everything early. They were up by as much as 11 as a 20-point underdog, a 19.5-point underdog. They were up by as much as 11 in the first half against Nevada, 10 for 27 from 3. Ethan Taylor had a great game. Kind of the perfect storm for Air Force to be in the mix in that game, especially without Bo Becker, who didn't play. That was surprising to me. It looked like he was kind of working his way back, and then he was a no-show for the Nevada game, never played. So I think this one goes under. Like, Fresno State is the reason that it would go over, right? The reason that you're getting a number like this in an Air Force game is because of Fresno State and the way they play. So you've got an Air Force team that plays at fewer possessions per game than any team in the country against a Fresno State team that Evan Maya has rated 5th in true tempo. Okay, so like two completely different ends of the spectrum in terms of how they want to play. But I've said this a million times: playing fast does not equal offense. Just because a team plays fast does not mean they're a good offensive team, and does not mean that they're just going to score because they're playing fast. It means they're going to probably have more attempts to score, but that's about it. Fresno State, 349th nationally in field goal percentage. That's terrible. They can't hit foul shots. They turn it over 13 times a game. So this is a Fresno State team that plays fast and is unorganized against an Air Force team that just will not run. Air Force might take a quick shot here or there. They're not going to run. They're not going to try to, beat Fresno State back down the floor. It's just not the way they play. They're going to slow it down. They're going to run their sets. They're going to get into the Princeton offense. And if they're not scoring at the rate that they were scoring at against Nevada, I don't see how there's any chance this one goes over. So under Air Force, Fresno State for total of the day. I think that's a low-scoring, pretty ugly basketball game. Okay, now on to boots on the ground, and I'll be at this one as well. I am making I guess it's a 4-hour drive from where we are right now to Albuquerque, New Mexico. I'll be at the Pit tonight for Boise State, New Mexico. Cannot wait. It has been a lifelong dream of mine to see a basketball game at the Pit. It's a bucket list venue, and I'm fired up to get to do that tonight. And what am I going to do? I'm going to go in there, and I'm going to bet against New Mexico because I think that I think we've got numbers are starting to get a little out of whack with some of this home court advantage stuff in the Mountain West. If these two teams are playing on a neutral floor, I've got New Mexico plus 2.5 on a neutral, plus 2.5, plus 3, depending on, what I tweak there. It comes out between 2 and 3. So essentially what that's saying is with the current number, it touched 4 a lot of places. It's back down to 3.5. Does New Mexico deserve 6 or 7 points for home court? I mean, I don't know. I'll be able to tell you, I guess, when I get back tomorrow, after I get to go there. But that just seems like it's a little bit overblown for a home court edge. And I think that, it makes it generates some value with a Boise State team that, let's face it, they run better offense, they get better shots. New Mexico, it fits the same sort of bill like we were talking about with Fresno State. Like, they play fast, but it doesn't always equate to good offense. They're 250th nationally, or their field goal percentage wise is not great. They turn it over 12 times per game. So like they're getting up shots. They're getting a lot of shots up, but they're not always great shots. And so I think Boise State definitely wins the battle here in the shot quality department for sure. And then listen, Boise's no slouch defensively. They're a top 70 defensive team. So if Boise State can get a few turnovers, I think you got to like your chances with Boise plus 4 in what should be a very competitive game. And it's a big game for both teams. So I thought that number was a little bit inflated. I think it's going to be a great game. I hope it's a great game. And I like Boise State plus 4. That is a 3% client play for me. And we will bring it home with the poll play, the play that you guys voted for, which the vote was surprisingly close, but the one that came out just ahead, Indiana and Ohio State. And it worked out because I probably have a bigger opinion on this one than any of the other sort of big-time marquee games tonight. So we're going to throw 90 seconds on the clock, Indiana, Ohio State. And the narrative coming into this game is that Mike Woodson's job is gone if he loses this game. The fire Mike Woodson chant going, Indiana getting absolutely destroyed their last 2 games against Iowa and Illinois. But here's the thing. The fans wanting a coach fired and the players in that locker room wanting him gone, that's 2 different things. And I don't think just because the fans at Assembly Hall were chanting fire Woodson, I don't think it means that his team is going to give up on him. And I would argue that the internal situation might be worse for Ohio State. Now, I can't say that I don't know that, but I do know that Michi Johnson abruptly leaving the team and not coming back yet and having no reason as to why that was the case, that's a pretty big concern. The fact that guys like Aaron Bradshaw, Quest Glover really haven't fully gotten into the mix maybe reflects a little bit on Jake Diebler being an inexperienced head coach. I was reading some stuff on an Ohio State forum that made a good point. He's kind of just a placeholder. He was the cheap option while they figure out how to pay off Chris Holtman's buyout. and while they prioritize winning a national championship in football, which is definitely the focus at Ohio State right now. So, I just don't know that this Ohio State team is very good. I don't, they had 2 close games the last time out, could have won those games, but didn't. I'm just not sold on Ohio State being a great team. And for that reason, I don't think they should be laying 7.5 at home. That is a big number. And I think you could have you're going to have an equally desperate team on the other side with Indiana. I like the points there. So Indiana plus 7.5 is one I gave some thought to today. There's your 4 picks. Remember, subscribe to the WagerTalk YouTube channel so we can continue to bring you this content. And don't forget about that all access special still up for this weekend at WagerTalk. Free day on the 3-day all access. So head on over, grab one of those. Let's have a great weekend. Cash all your tickets. We'll see you guys back here on Monday.